If you want to learn from the greatest art teacher in the world, check out Visual Storytelling by Bill Perkins, only at New Masters Academy, the greatest online art school on the planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial and learn from the legends. I am deep in your mind. I am deep in your... Hey y'all, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about how you forced Janet to watch The Eternals and what creators can learn from Disney's biggest failure.
But before we get into it, make sure to smash, jingle, touch all our bells and buttons.
Don't touch that Rootin' Tootin' button. I know you want to. I know you really, really want to. Just touch it, please. You have my consent. Should I edit that out? Is that mean?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So, I want to first start off. I know you've always wanted to hear us do this, but we're going to start off with an apology. We're sorry. We're so sorry. Honestly, I feel like a fucking fool that I told everybody that we're going to have the send tip button. I thought it would be as easy as, like, you know, going to the homepage and, like, going, oh, we're going to send tips now. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Rootin' Tootin' time. But no. Apparently, it's like waiting for a goddamn blue check mark, right?
Yes. So
we filled it in, and now we're expecting to get a send tip button one day.
Eventually.
But that day, unfortunately, wasn't last week. But one of you was so kind enough to buy $80 worth of our merch. Unbelievable. I like till this day I don't know why people support, buy, watch, do anything Honey and Absinthe. I don't know. But honestly, thank you so much because Janet had an awful time.
Yes.
But right before we get into it, how much torture did you go through seeing that movie?
Like I would say 3 hours worth, but I would say actually probably like 8 hours worth because of all the like complaining we did after the fact.
It was hard to fall asleep because we were complaining the whole time. So now that Janet has gone through her suffering, you, viewer, have an opportunity to make me suffer. How, you ask? Well, it turns out today is Friday, the Cowboy Bebop Netflix TV show is out, right? And I told all of you in a previous podcast that I refuse to watch it, very similarly to Toy Story 4, because I want to keep my rosy lenses of like how that franchise ended, and I don't want to watch the last Toy Story. I don't want to see what this abomination of a Cowboy Bebop adaptation would be. But if you really want me to suffer, you can click down below and check out our Cash App handle.
Yes.
And all we need, I think, a Netflix subscription is about $15, right? So we need about $15 that if 15 of you donate $1, I promise you, I will try my best to make the most comprehensive review of the Cowboy Bebop abomination as I can, because I refuse to give the cuties at Netflix my money. I refuse. But if you want to, make me suffer, there will be spreadsheets, there will be a whiteboard presentation, maybe even a PowerPoint. I don't know, we'll see. But if you want to make me suffer, if you want to ruin my goddamn childhood, you have the opportunity. It's $15 away.
Please make him suffer like he made me suffer.
Please don't. I highly recommend you don't do this. I highly recommend you do not do this. It would be a shame for me, but probably great pleasure for you.
No, it won't be pleasurable for me either, actually, because I have to sit and watch it with you. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, one of you was kind enough to help us watch this movie. And we saw it, what was it, like 8 o'clock on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
In 100 capacity theater. There were only about, I'd say 20, 25 people. It's pretty abysmal. If that. Like probably less than that.
Yeah.
But 30 minutes before watching this movie, nope, all the seats were empty.
Yes. Yes.
So where do we start? Should we start with our overall review just to get it out of the way, like our score?
Our score, yeah.
Our score.
So, I hated it. I give it a 4.7, and pretty much in line with the critics' score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I did not think it was as awful of a movie, and I give it 6 Druigs.
Yes.
Out of 10 Druigs.
Yes, I give it 4.7 Druigs.
Yep. And okay, you're like, oh wow, that's so harsh. Oh, give your reasoning. Well, I'm sure we'll give out in like an hour and 30 minutes of our reasoning.
Yeah.
So, I guess next we should talk about the characters, or should we talk about like the reception of this movie to preface? I don't know. I
mean,
where we
I
should
think
start.
Maybe a quick reception is everyone hates it, except for.
I mean, I think everyone either hates it, just dislikes it, or just didn't even bother watching it.
Yeah. People just don't care.
People just don't care.
Like, it got such bad reviews that I feel like people who maybe would have watched it if it had good word of mouth just didn't. So, no, for the most part, no one watched it. And, your brother walked out of it.
My brother walked out of the movie. He
movie.
thought it was boring as shit.
Awful, yeah.
Yep.
Waste of his life.
Yep.
Waste of my life.
Rather watch anime.
Truly.
Okay, so I think the most logical place to start is with the characters, because there's so many, right?
Yeah.
So let's just list off every single character and give off our 2 cents, and then we'll leave out our favorite character to the very end.
Yes. And by the way, I think this is going to be a spoiler review, because don't watch the movie.
Don't watch this movie. It's not worth your time. I really don't think so. I mean, if you're bored, drunk, high, or whatever.
Even then.
Actually, you know what? It might not even be that fun if you were inebriated. Yeah. Sad to say.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give you the benefit of tuning out, because we are totally going to spoil this movie, because I don't care.
And just because Janet is the infamous person that she is that hates Disney so much, what did I tell you before the movie?
To have an open mind.
We had an open mind. I gave myself the same mantra I gave myself when I watched Dune.
Yes.
I'm going to allow this movie to show me what it's got. I'm going to open it. I'm going to watch it with open arms, and I'm not going to have any sort of prejudice at all.
My open mind is my expectations were on the floor. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the characters. I think that there's 2 central characters, even though there's 20. But the 2 central characters is our main character, Cersei.
Yes. And
her love interest, Mr. Robert Stark, who plays Icarus.
Yes.
Or I'd like to say Dickarus. Oh, I'm so juvenile today.
Yes, and you pretty much, I mean, other than the opening fight scene, you kind of start the movie with them, the 2 of them. It's like the first scene of the movie when you get introduced, and I hate them. I think everyone hates them.
Yeah.
Because they're flat as a board.
They're all pretty flat, though some of the members try more than others. Unfortunately, the 2 that actually lead the movie are the stiffest, and every single time they're on screen, I just check out.
Yeah, and it's sad because if you've watched Game of Thrones, we should be familiar of Robb Stark. He's not like that.
Yeah, he's stiff as a board in this movie,
yeah,
but
so
if you've seen Cinderella with Lily
yes.
James, I think he was the prince in that movie. Big smile, all this stuff, very charismatic, but in this movie he's this very, very stoic Eternals. And if you don't know, these Eternals are these super gods. Did you know Thanos is an Eternal, technically?
I heard about that.
Yeah. So it's just they're apparently supposedly as strong as Thanos or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I hate them. Everyone hates them. It's unfortunate that they lead the movie. That's my 2 cents. There's nothing more to say. They're so boring. That's it. They're boring.
Well, I think the 2 main characters are the most boring.
Yeah.
And then you get into the sub characters there's Kingo. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Kingo? He shoots balls from his fingers.
He's just comedic relief. That's all his character is, and it's kind of sad that all these characters are so one-dimensional, where I would say other than Druig, every single character is super one-dimensional, and maybe Angelina Jolie's character, Hina.
And then there's Sprite, What do you think about Sprite, little Greta Thunberg?
I don't like her, but I don't think it's her fault. I think the story just didn't develop her very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She all of a sudden became important right at the very end.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
ridiculousness. And then Paperboy from Atlanta.
He had so much potential.
We will get into it, but I think
Yeah.
his character had so much potential, and
that
it
they
was
just squandered it all.
just squandered. And then we have Gilgamesh, who's barely in the movie.
Yes, but I liked him.
I like Gilgamesh.
I liked his relationship with Angelina
Yeah,
Jolie.
Gilgamesh and Thena, no A, according to Thena, are basic. Like everybody's in pairs, kind of in this movie, and then
they're all coupled.
they're kind of shipped together.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Gilgamesh's and Thena's relationship is platonic.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm sure of it, but it's like one of the most tender relationships, if that, in the movie, which I really like.
Yeah.
It was very loving, and I think Angelina Jolie was very awesome. I know you didn't think she was very notable, but it was really like, I don't think I've seen Angelina Jolie in a role that I like since now. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a long
think
time.
She has this, like, I love because Angelina does stoic, angry bitch really well. Vulnerable, I'm not sure.
I thought her vulnerable parts were very cool. I thought she acted them quite well, but I guess it depends on the beholder if you think you bought it or not.
I think she acted it well. I think it just, I guess story-wise, it came out of nowhere.
Okay, and then there's the fast girl, who's also a
Yes.
hoarder. Can't really speak.
Yes, she's fine.
She's fine. I mean, like, she doesn't really...
Very not notable.
She-
Super side character.
Super side, like
Yeah.
B of the B characters.
Yeah.
And then our favorite character, Tim Pool.
Oh, yes.
Our favorite character, Tim Pool, who plays Druig. Druig is awesome.
He's awesome.
He is the best Eternal out of all of them.
I think it's our anime tendencies of, like, that type of
Of character.
Sasuke character.
Yeah, he's basically the Sasuke doomer.
Yeah.
Super doomer, like just like Tim Pool. And just like Tim Pool, he lives in the woods
With
in a
a
commune.
commune.
That's right.
With his Jonestown-like followers.
Yep.
I think...
But he's our favorite character. At least, like,
Yes.
every time Druig was in the movie, which unfortunately I think was not very...
not
often.
often enough.
Not often.
But he has a pretty big part in the movie, and I really like him because I think out of everyone, he is acting his butt off in every scene he's in. His action scenes are pretty cool. His powers are
They're
pretty cool.
And his motivations are really cool. He
Literally,
seems like
yeah.
one of the only Eternals who actually gives a shit about the humans.
He seems like the only Eternals where the writers actually gave a shit about his storyline. It made the most sense out of even the main storyline of the movie. I was like, it's interesting that you chose his storyline to be the one that, like, writes home, like hits you home the best.
Yeah. And then there's Ajax, right?
Yes. Very not notable.
Selma Hayek.
Yes.
I thought she was fine, but I don't think you thought she was very notable at all. I mean, like, she was the leader, but then you actually don't really see her much in the movie.
She doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, like, she's basically the inciting incident of the movie, and there's no reason for me to care about her. And
Because you're not really given
anything to care about. Yeah. So that's my general, like, I don't care about most of the cast except for Druig.
Jon Snow's in it.
I like
Jon Snow is really fun. He's only in it for 2 minutes,
Yeah.
2 whole minutes.
Yeah.
But Jon Snow, like, it's kind of crazy because I haven't seen Kit Harington in anything other than being Jon Snow.
I wish Jon Snow was Icarus instead, but I understand why he's not. It just upset me. I think it was a choice, maybe a directorial choice or whatever, to make the two leads so robotic and boring, but it's such a bad choice. Like, why should I care about these characters that I don't know about to begin with, and then you told them to, like, act stiff and like you don't love each other, even though, like, you're supposed to love each other for no reason.
I'm not sure about the actress who plays Cersei, but we know that a lot of these actors are really good in other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I just think they come off really stoic and stiff.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the characters. Oh, also Bill Skarsgård, hot second, plays the villain.
Yes, and I liked him a lot.
I liked
as the
him
villain.
a lot,
Yeah.
but I
One
mean,
of
like,
the villains, I
he's just a voice.
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Those are our characters, and let's go into plot details. Or let's just list out. We assume you have watched it. We assume, or if you haven't watched it, we hope you enjoy us taking a poop on it.
Yes.
But first and foremost, the most blaring issue for me, especially with the two characters that we follow, is the lack of chemistry.
Yes. There's a lack of chemistry with literally everyone in the movie, except for, in my opinion, Druig and the fast girl. I think her name's like Makai or something like that.
I also thought Gilgamesh and Athena were fine.
That was like the second
Yeah, the second
best.
Second best.
Yeah, but not by much.
Not by
And I was just like, man, why, for people who are supposed to be of one big family that have been together for centuries and thousands of years, you guys seem to not know each other or like each other or whatever. And I feel like it's a choice because you find out they're basically robots. God,
Erisham.
made them,
Right.
but not like technically God made us. Erisham made them because and they're like robots technically. And I feel like that's why they start off so stiff and then they get less stiff, but I just think like you are not going to make me care about a bunch of robots who you told to act robotic, who can't even have a proper sex scene.
Oh my God. Disney, I know this is your first sex scene, but don't ever do this again. Do not ever. That was some of the most unsexiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the people at Disney don't even. Maybe they don't know. They don't know what sex actually looks like.
They don't have
because that
it.
wasn't it, dude.
They don't have sex.
You don't think they do?
No.
Oh my God. Well, it really.
If it is, it's like depraved, weird stuff. I'm sure.
Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have problems with the sex scene because there's no moaning. there's
no nothing.
There's no clasping of the hands. There's no passion. It's very robotic.
It's very like do you even love each other?
Like, do you even love each other? And even before the sex scene, like there's no leading up to the sex scene, there's no chemistry between the two characters.
Yeah.
Rob Stark literally just broods over our main character Cersei for like a whole scene. That's very Terrence Malick like.
Yes.
And never in my years would I've ever seen Marvel adopt some sort of Terrence Malick mise-en-scène.
Yes.
Didn't work because it just came off as like stupid and stiff.
Yeah.
Like Terrence Malick's work.
Yes, actually. But even like I hate to say it because I don't love Terrence Malick's movies except for the visual aspect of it. His Days in Heaven movie, it's basically that. Like it's a Marvel Days in Heaven, with like a love square and everything, and except there's none of the like I want you and like coyness and the
chase and all that stuff. It's just so like having left the movie, I kept telling you I don't know why Rob Stark likes Cersei, loves Cersei, and I don't know why Cersei loves Rob Stark.
They just wake up and they're like,
I love you.
It's like, I don't know, Erisham designed them to love each other or something, and that's why. Like, there's no reason. There's no reason. And there's also a big setup for the movie is Ajak dies. She is a mother figure, supposedly, to this group of people. They're this one big giant happy family. All in words, they just say it. They don't display it.
They always say it, or like, oh, we've been together for centuries, but like they just don't act like a family.
Yeah, at all. Or a dysfunctional family. Like, I've seen rom-coms that do that so much better. And when she dies, I felt nothing. And
like when I watch Coco.
I felt nothing, and I thought that was a problem. And I started thinking about why I didn't feel anything. Is because like she literally did not do anything motherly, or she literally didn't do anything with any of the characters. She didn't interact with them. She like goes and meditates and talks to Erishim alone, and like for the most part she has like one interaction with Icarus. And
Know
that's
your
about
place.
it. Yeah, or like two. There's that one, and the like you should go after Cersei, and then they have sex, and then, like, and I was just like, I don't care, and it made it so much worse the fact that I didn't care about her, and you make her die in the first act of the movie, and
It's kind of the reason why they come back together.
yeah, the rest of the movie is a very Seven Samurai-esque, like collecting all the team back together and learning a bit about each character as you go. But it's done so much better in every movie like that, like a Seven Samurai, because I don't like how you have to tell every single character Ajax dies. By the third time, I was like, I don't need to see Gilgamesh crumple a pot in anguish.
Yeah, Gilgamesh hold pan with pie. Pie falls down on floor. Gilgamesh sits, crushes the pot in anguish.
Yeah.
That was one whole minute, man.
Yeah. I was like, why? We've already done this twice before. This is a little much. Oh, and then I just was like, are you really going to do this with every single character? Is this why this movie is so goddamn unnecessarily long?
It's 2 hours and 37 minutes.
And it is, eventually they like stop. They like kind of like rush through, like telling people, like it should just cut to like, oh, okay,
The reaction.
So, yeah, what do we do now?
Oh, and then like Kingo. Oh, Ajax died. Kingo. Shocked face.
Yeah.
Turns very slowly. Smile turns into a look of shock.
It's like, I get it. You supposedly really cared about your mother figure, but like, I just don't buy it.
Oh, dude. When we finally see Ajax again after the opening of the movie,
Yeah.
it's really like, so there's like this Bollywood scene.
Yeah.
It's the worst Bollywood scene I've ever, it's the stiffest, like not bright, not fun, not colorful, not dancey. And what's his name? Kingo barely dances.
Yes, he does a little shoulder shimmy.
And that's it. That's it. You know, it felt more Chinese than actually
Yes.
Indian. to me.
And I was upset because I love Bollywood.
Yeah.
And I was like, they go all out,
man.
They go all out on the crazy dances and the colors and the acting.
Flowers,
and everything.
colors, powder, everything.
And I was like, this is the one moment in a Marvel movie that I wanted just ridiculous spectacle to do Bollywood justice. And I was like,
It was lousy
that
Bollywood, man.
was a very like weak Bollywood scene, where it's shot so close too that I'm like,
Yeah, Bollywood's like head to toe.
because
right?
those dancers
Because of the
dance,
dances,
they put their
yeah.
back into it,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, the only reason why it's shot close is because Kingo, the actor, probably can't commit to these dances because it's hard.
Oh, so you told me that. I find that hard to believe because it looked like he spent so much time on his physique. You tell me you can't even like do a
Those
Bollywood
dances
dance?
are hard.
Oh, okay.
Those dances are really hard. I would watch So You Think You Can Dance, and occasionally they'll have like
A Bollywood
number, and a lot of the times it's really difficult on those dancers.
Interesting.
There's something about like the hands and the how much leaping you have to do, like up and down and up, and it's really difficult. So like it's only wide when the girl is dancing. And because she seems like a legit Bollywood dancer, but when like the actor's Kingo is dancing, and like you cut close, all this is close, and it feels so wrong. That was not great. But also there were a lot of unnecessary political scenes, and I don't mind a movie being political at the end of the day if it's done well. The problem is, it wasn't done well. It felt like it was shoehorned into the movie for no good reason, and to me, that feels insulting.
Right.
To just use moments like that just to use it. So an example of it is like right after they Eternals disband. The reason for them disbanding is great, in my opinion. Like Druig,
the breakup scene is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I like that scene a lot. Druig's like, "Fuck y'all," and then controls some of the people.
Yeah, they have like a crisis of faith, and because Druig watches humanity genocide each other,
and go like, "What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
These people suck. I'm out."
Yeah, like you mean like we can't do anything? We are gods, but like we can't do anything about this is bullshit. I'm gonna like take care of these people for like a millennia. I think literally the people he's with in his commune are the same people.
Just descendants. Yeah. Great grandchildren of the original people Druig.
Yeah. So by the time the Hiroshima scene happens, which is after that, Paperboy is like distraught that he is responsible for humanity doing this to themselves.
Because Paperboy is kind of like he's the scientist.
Yeah.
He's the guy who invents stuff and is
to help humanity.
Kind of helping humanity advance. And but even though he shouldn't be doing it, or something like that, right?
Yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. And he's like, these people, like, humanity doesn't deserve us and our help or whatever.
There's a big emotional sequence where Paperboy is in the middle of Hiroshima just weeping at the destruction and lamenting to Ajax about how it's all his fault somehow.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, because I saw the Hiroshima portion in the trailer and I thought, oh boy, here we go. But then when they actually revealed what it was, I was like, oh, that's interesting. He blames himself for everything.
Yeah.
And he is a god. Like this, he thinks that, like, oh, this couldn't have happened if they dropped in on Earth. The worst part about it, though, is 2 minutes later, he's married and has a family.
Yeah, he's like,
and I'm just
actually,
like,
wait a second.
Wait a second. You mean to tell me this happened to you, and then cut to you have a family? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I kept telling him, like, what a missed opportunity for Paperboy throughout the rest of the story to figure out or to discover for himself that maybe humans aren't that bad or whatever. I wanted to see, as an audience member, him forgive or whatever, just be at peace with the humans. But instead, boom, cut to, oh, you wanna recruit me? I can't. I have a family now.
I have a family.
And I'm just like, wait a second. You could have just cut to him and his family, don't you think?
Yeah. And I the thing about,
because that thing never kind of comes, that his lament towards humans, it never really comes back.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's such a, like, it's something that Druig's character, that's really part of his character, but I think that was the strongest theme, that humanity sucks and we just do bad things to ourselves and we are doomed without these gods or whatever. That's like the strongest theme out of everything. But
there were like 5 other themes.
Yeah. But like the Hiroshima scene could have been worked into that, because he is like, humanity sucks. But I kept thinking too, genocide didn't do that for you?
Right. Like, so right before they break up, they sort of aren't sure if they should break up or not after witnessing the people that they're supposed to look after in, like, whatever BC kill each other with, whatever muskets and stuff. And like, you'd think someone as smart as Paperboy in the crew would be like, maybe this will escalate.
Yeah.
But like the only person who actually kind of sees that future for us is Druig.
Yeah.
Tim Pool.
Yeah, literally. But like, clearly it was kind of sort of, it just didn't make sense. By the time Hiroshima happens, which is like centuries later, I'm like, it took you that long.
Like you know, there are actually worse atrocities. Like I would argue, what you call that, the what do you call the Spanish conquest?
Yeah, the Spanish Inquisition.
The Spanish Inquisition, right. Jesus Christ.
And
yeah, Hiroshima is awful, but it just felt like such a missed opportunity because it was so, like, I think whatever rendering of the mushroom cloud looked pretty gorgeous. Like, it looked pretty amazing what they did with that scene, but I was just like, what a missed opportunity. But again, like you said, it's just like dude, we've been doing this to each other for like centuries.
And then that begs the question, why then did you add the whole, like, the fact that he's gay and then he has a kid and all that stuff? That makes the fact that he is gay and he has a kid just an afterthought. And that upsets me too.
Honestly, I just wanted them to pick one.
Yeah.
Like, are you the type that, like, wants to stay with with his family because
all costs?
You want to protect your home and your family, or are you so mad at us that you kind of, like, I don't know, you become a monk or so? I don't know. Because both could be interesting. You just had to pick one.
Yeah. And it just felt so like, did you just shoehorn a gay baity scene just to do that?
Yep.
And that upset. I'm like,
and they did like some sort of like Hiroshima, what do you call that? Regret thing.
Yeah.
And that, like, I was just like, pick one then.
I was just like, you know what? His character could have been so great, where he has this, like, redemption arc where he slowly goes like, fuck humanity, man, you guys suck. And it should have just been about that. And, like, you didn't have to make him gay. You didn't have to do all this, like, other stuff. It can focus on how, like, his character just really has a hard time coming to terms with, like, he wants to help humanity, but humanity sucks, that kind of thing. Or, like you said, just make him about family.
Yeah, make him like, this is my family. I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
You see what happened to us before? I don't want to leave these people. This is my home now.
Yeah. Like, you
and
left
then
us.
It's like, it's up to the Eternals to persuade him, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to see the conflict of the Eternals trying to persuade Paperboy to leave his family to help save humanity, or to help get himself out of the I hate humanity rut.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so I've been listening to Dear Reader, a unauthorized biography of Kim Jong-il, that North Korean guy. It's a fantastic read. I'm learning so much about just the history of North Korea. Fascinating. There's actually a lot of talk about art in there. So if you're an artist, there's actually a lot for you to learn from in this book. And if you're interested... what am I supposed to say here? If you're interested, go to audibletrial.com/honeyandabsinthe-podcast for your free audiobook.
And then there's Sprite's character, which she suddenly becomes so important kind of near the end, where, like,
it's revealed that she is a... So here, I'll describe the love square. So there's Cersei, who in England, before all this stuff happens, the main events happen, is in love with Jon Snow, who knows nothing still. And all of a sudden, ex-boyfriend comes, Robb Stark, and Jon Snow's like, oh man. But then halfway through the movie, you realize that Sprite loves Robb Stark too. And it's like, what the
yeah. And, like, it's implied that, like, Sprite is like it's what's it called, a metaphor, I guess, for, like, transgender issues.
Yeah, because she doesn't feel comfortable in her own body.
Yeah,
that's like her old, like, I feel like every single one of the Eternals has some sort of, like, allegory, or we're supposed to, like, somebody's supposed to latch onto them, right? So like, we really latch on to Druig because he's like a doomer asshole, just like us. But, you know, if you are gay, you probably like Paperboy. If you identify trans, you probably like Sprite. If you have like mental problem, what do you call
dementia?
That? Dementia. If you have dementia,
if you're old and aging,
you probably relate with Thena. What else? Yeah, like, there's almost like you could kind of like latch yourself on to whatever identity type with literally any one of these characters.
Yes. And And my problem with Sprite's character, again, it's like this movie has so many themes, and then to just randomly throw in transgender issues in there, I just felt so like, just like all the other ones, it just feels distasteful to be like, I'm just gonna use Hiroshima. I'm just gonna use, like, I just want a gay scene. I just wanna throw like transgender. I feel like these things deserve like a whole movie.
Just one movie unto itself. You know,
you can't just.
You know what doesn't have? It doesn't have focus. No focus. You know. Just like pick one. I really think Druig and what's his name? A Paperboy's struggle of like, why should we help these people, should have been the core issue of Eternals. It's just so obvious.
Yeah. But it just felt like this movie was being pulled in like 100 different directions, like maybe too many cooks in the kitchen or something. Like too many people wanting their own like stamp of like, I need to put my political opinion into this movie for whatever reason. And then there was, you get into like the best scene in the whole movie.
Ah, yes.
And it's when they finally do the thing I wanted them to do in the entire movie, and it's to work together.
Yeah, man.
And it's in you finally, like, Druig is the last person you have to recruit, and you go to
I think the second to the last or something like that, because then the mute girl, the
oh right, that went so fast.
Yeah. Please describe how amazing this scene is, because it's just like you don't see Druig for a while after he pieces out. It's pretty cool.
Amazing, because you show up and like there's like this Jonestown like commune, and like you get real creepy vibes. Honestly. And when you finally see him, the conference room thing looks like a conference room in Jonestown.
Yeah. Oh my god, it kind of does actually. It's sort of like the mass area or something. The auditorium. Yeah.
And I was like, you straight up took inspiration.
It kind of felt that way, even though thematically it just had no place. It just visually, I think the art director was just like, Jonestown.
It didn't make sense because like they look Amish.
Yeah.
But like in the auditorium thingy, it looks like a pretty modern auditorium thing. And when they start fighting, because like, the main, I guess, antagonist for a really long time in the movie is like these beast things. I forget what they're called.
They literally just show up like Evangelians.
They show up like angels.
Like angels in Evangelion.
And then they go, oh shit, time to
fight.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And which makes me think this whole thing probably would have worked better as a TV series. And when the beasts show up, they're like, oh no, we gotta fight. Druig uses his mind control powers to use his Jonestown people to shoot the beasts, and he doesn't care that they like go flying and like
base is.
I was like, yeah. I really liked like the one scene where he like does a flip and like slides on the
his one little action scene where you think like Druig just stands there and mind controls people, but he's actually kind of physical himself. Pretty cool.
That's kind of what I wanted from Cersei, except she is simultaneously a strong woman and a damsel in distress at the exact same time, because she doesn't do anything. She seems really incapable of doing any kind of super, like, she's supposedly as strong as Thanos, but she doesn't do anything. And it's the first time you actually see them do the dysfunctional family thing. Like, when they fight, they actually work together. Like, Sprite holds down a beast thing while Kingo does his laser beams.
You know, charging up his balls.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about Avengers. Like, when you get like Hulk and Thor working together, or like Cap and whoever working together,
Black Widow.
Yeah, those are the defining, like, they're a team for a reason. You're supposed to be able to like come together and do stunts together, whatever, but they literally does not happen till literally like near the end of the movie.
And why do we specifically like this fight scene compared to all the other ones?
Well, the most memorable. Well, every character has their like memorable moment. For Cersei, she turns a beast into a tree, which is pretty epic.
It's pretty epic. But for me, what makes this sequence stand out amongst all of the action sequences is how practical it is.
Yeah.
It's because like it's nice to actually see the cabins blow up.
Yeah.
It's nice to actually see like the actors actually get physical with these monsters, because most of the movie it's just an animated whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of Dragon Ball Z going.
This world doesn't look like there's anything. There's something about CG. It looks like an animated movie.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
A lot of the time,
yeah.
with the actors' faces plastered on the mannequins.
Like it's not even the actors there. It's stunt double, and then their face is just CG.
And it's like the Jonestown fight scene is the only fight scene where you really get to see the actors actually do something.
Yeah.
But there's actually a really egregious thing that I took offense with in that scene.
Yeah.
And it's Chloe Zhao aping the Revenant
Yeah.
scene. So in The Revenant, I'm sure if you're a film person, the amazing scene of the bear, right?
Yes.
Terrifying scene of the bear. DiCaprio is struggling for life as he's being nuzzled and clawed to death and maimed by a big ass grizzly bear.
Yeah.
It's shot wonderfully. Alfonso Cuarón and his cinematographer got the camera really low to make it feel like we're lying down with DiCaprio as he's like almost being eaten by this bear. It's an amazing sequence. I'm sure you remember it. It is aped shot for shot.
Yes.
And it's Rob Stark getting
maimed by a beast,
maimed by one of these beasts, and it's like shot for shot. The camera's really low, but like there's zero of the tension, of the scare, of the terror, and all that.
It's like every call to other movies like Terrence Malick and Revenant and so many other movies that I see in this movie. It's the epitome of what I hate when other people like ape other people. I don't mind homages. I don't mind when you take from other movies. It's when you take and then you don't add your own spin to it, or it doesn't have purpose. It just feels like you aped it just to ape it. And I just felt like in Revenant, it's scary because it's a bear and it's your normal
It's a human
dude.
man.
Yeah.
You
get clawed once by a bear and you're done.
You should be done. You should have some sort of rabies or disease or something.
Icarus being like the strongest Eternal, apparently, being maimed by a beast, even several times, it doesn't do anything. Am I
supposed to be scared?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to think he's in real danger?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I was like, and I don't care about this guy. Like, you give me he's like a dick most of the movie. And I'm like, why should I care that he is being maimed? Meanwhile, in like The Revenant, like, you really want to know how Leonardo DiCaprio survives being maimed by a bear. And it's epic. It's pretty epic. So, with that scene, I was just like... I mean, I
was pretty close to calling boo at the theater. I was like, come on, man. You didn't even do anything different, man. I was like a shot for shot ape of The Revenant.
It's even color corrected the same way.
Yeah, like
the sets look the same.
Yeah.
And it felt so out of place in the movie. Even though like it was the best, in my opinion, the best
sequence.
Sequence in the movie, and yet it just felt like it's just out of place, oddly enough. And then we finally get to Act 3, where the Power Rangers assemble. And
I mean, like, there's so many things that happen. Like, it's revealed that Rob Stark's actually the bad guy, actually killed Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the
Which I think,
of the movie.
Again, with the political opinions, the fact that, like, climate change is the reason why the beasts are alive. You have a sensor that detects where all the beasts are.
Literally, Paperboy is holding this device where it shows you where all the beasts are. And I remember he goes like, looks like we took care of all of them. And then what do you mean, Rob Stark? Like, I wish there was like a better explanation. Just like, oh, I don't know, they fell from the sky, or Erisham actually put them there to f them over, or something. But like, it was like climate change. Like,
okay, I guess it like was glossed over so fast, and I was just like, I'm supposed to just buy that, I guess. And right as they're deciding whether or not to like defy their god. Basically, I'm like, no, we're not gonna let humanity die.
Right, because the grain. This is so. I remember being so dumbfounded at the scene where Arishem explains to Cersei like what the actual goal here is.
Yeah.
So apparently the whole reason why the Eternals and these beasts are here is because Arishem made the base to basically clean up the planet, and then the beasts actually started evolving, and Arishem was like, oh fuck. So he made the Eternals to help clean up the beasts.
Yeah.
But then only to have the population of that planet grow.
Yes.
Because for whatever reason, Arishem and the Celestials need that much life force to be born out of a planet. And when a Celestial is born out of a planet, every life form in the planet dies.
Yeah.
And the Eternals are basically reused, and their memories are wiped for the next time their mission is, or their planet, their next planet they have to deal with.
So they're like, no, we love humans. We need to save it. But then it kind of splits in a very Avengers Civil War type thing of like, I want humanity to die and I want to save humanity. But in that scene, which I think Rob Stark's personality, or the reasoning and Sprite's reasoning, and it just isn't sold very well. I think there's a way you could have done it, actually, to like be like, oh, I don't care about humanity. We've lived for like millions and millions of years. These people mean nothing to me, and it's for the greater good. I wish it was just explained or illustrated, or I just wish it was done better. But I think there was a way for it to have been more convincing. But that's not the most egregious part of Act 3. Act 3, Kingo has like an Alfred, a human that like waits on him, and he is kind of like the stand-in for us humanity, because these are a bunch of unrelatable gods who have no personality, and he is kind of comic relief for most of the movie. But at that scene where like they're debating whether or not to let humanity die, you would think the one human in the room would just have a say, or like have,
I beg of you.
Yeah, I beg
of you, please.
to save us or something like that. But instead he's
My
just
family
like,
and all this stuff.
Thank you for protecting us all this time, and I'm gonna go die now. And I just was like, why is this? And then I remembered the scene in High and Low, Kurosawa's High and Low, where the guy that is like his butler or something like that, works for the main character. His son gets kidnapped, and he has to beg that rich man, his boss, to help him. And it's done so heartbreakingly well.
Because you see the man crumble and on his knees and say, please help find my son who's been kidnapped. And like, I kind of wanted that moment for our stand-in of like breaking down and be like, we're all not all that bad or something. Yeah.
Like in High and Low, like the way it's shot, like how you show the clear power difference between like this rich man and this person who doesn't even feel worthy enough to ask for help. Like he tries not to for most of the negotiations of getting his son back, but then eventually he has to get on his knees, which is a really big deal for the Japanese, and like beg. And even then he knows like he's a lowly servant man, he asking for like money from his boss to save his son. And it feels the same way in this movie, where like he should have like begged the gods, these gods, to help humanity.
That could have been a great moment to get Druig and Paperboy to like really empathize with. Like, could have been like the end of their arc, like, or something where like he's like, please, we're not all that bad, and they actually like this guy and all this stuff. I just think another missed opportunity, because you know what happens after he says, thank you so much for helping us for centuries and centuries. You know what happens? Kingo and his Alfred straight up peace out for the rest of the goddamn movie. Like, you don't see Kingo until whatever they have the basically the last action scene. And but you don't see Kingo until the epilogue.
And I was just like, so these two characters are literally just comic relief. Like it's
literally like saying, okay, there's gonna be no smiles or jokes at the end of end of this.
No, we gotta be serious now. We gotta wrap up the movie. So like, you guys are unnecessary. So bye bye. And there's this whole apex predator theme throughout the movie as well that I feel like is very poorly done, because like you set it up at the beginning, it's not really like interwoven throughout most of the movie, but it's basically like, oh, these beasts, they evolved since like prehistoric times, like the dinosaur times, and now they've become sentient, and they want to live too. They're not the apex predator, but they're evolving to become.
Oh, right. I think we have to explain this before we talk about the Angelina Jolie part at the very, very end, what this beast actually does. So this main beast sucks up the powers of the Eternals, right? So for the first Eternal it kills so that it becomes even stronger is Ajax. And then the next Eternal, I think, is Gilgamesh or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it gets to this point where it's just like this creature is becoming so outrageously strong that you think even like Robb Stark couldn't even defeat this thing.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Yeah, he couldn't himself.
Yeah.
But the way this creature dies is like Athena kills him.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very easily.
Very easily. I mean, yeah, sure, she's like bound or whatever, but then like she suddenly wakes up from one of her like episodes and then kills him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all of this terror and tension and just hyping up this really strong dude. He ate 2 Eternals.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of dies.
Yeah. I mean, it works in that, like, it is Angelina Jolie's character's arc. Like, it is
Closing.
the proper end to her arc. Like, she should be the one to kill him. And, like, she struggles with, like, her dementia, basically. Throughout the movie, and at the end she finally remembers, and so that's why she, I guess, kind of pretended to have been in like her episodes, but she wasn't, and so she was actually in full control of herself, and then she kills this beast. But then I was just kind of, and then there's like, it kind of is still part of the movie even towards the end, where like they kill the, what's it called, the big giant thingy,
right?
Where like, you know, these Eternals, they're on the food chain totem pole. There's like the big Evangelion, and then there's the Eternals, and then there's the beasts.
Right.
And so
the Evangelions are called what are they? Celestials, right?
Yes,
there
yes,
you go. Yeah.
yes. I have funny names for it. Like they come to Earth on a Godiva chocolate bar.
They literally come to Earth on a chocolate bar. She's not joking.
Yeah, and and it's a Evangelion that shows up at the end, and these beasts are angels, and these, so like the Eternals being able to kill a Celestial basically it reinforces that apex predator theme throughout, but at the same time it just doesn't work very well, because like the biggest thematically, it's like, well, so if you wanted this theme to go all the way through, Crow, I think his name's Crow or whatever, Crew or whatever,
Who?
the beast,
Oh,
Skarsgård.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He should have lived. Like, if he is evolving to become like the next apex predator, Angelina Jolie's character maybe should have like maimed him really hard or something, and but like not kill him. Like, it just felt like that's like the strongest antagonist you had in this movie.
Yeah, because when you actually learn his motivations when he talks, it's like, oh, I'm after centuries of killing us, I'm out to get you now, or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's interesting reversal.
Yeah.
Does nothing, goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay, so then the final act of the movie, they have to prevent the Celestial from being born, and they have very little amount of time.
Yeah.
So they craft this plan to get Druig to somehow use his mind control powers on the Celestial.
Yes.
Turns out Robert Stark foils their main plan, so it's up to Cersei to go up to Mount Mordor and stop. It was very Lord of the Rings.
Yes, yeah.
Like stop.
Yes,
and then like straight up Sprite has like her Gollum moment. like,
Yeah.
like Sprite has the Gollum moment of like, oh, I stopped you and you're never gonna, like, it's one of those things where like, oh, it looks like everything is falling apart and our heroes are not gonna make it.
Which, by the way, I had a huge criticism for that, as like, if you're gonna throw a transgender issue in there, I think that's in really poor taste, that like the stand-in for a transgendered woman stabs an actual woman because she's jealous of her, and then the actual woman has to just forgive her and understand her and be kind to her at the end, because like I was just like, do you understand what you're actually saying about transgenderism and all? Like I was like, that's really distasteful, and just I don't know, it just like the implications of everything was like, that's weird, but okay, I guess. I was just kind of, and the place she stabbed her to, I'm just now realizing, is like
in her ovary. Oh my god, it's kind of like in her ovary area, isn't it?
Yeah. I was kind of like, yeah, that's not great. That's not a great implication.
Oh
there.
my god.
Huh.
Oh my god. Anyway, I'm trying to get you guys a hype up how they're gonna kill this thing.
Yeah.
Because it's so anticlimactic how they
Yeah.
actually kill this thing. They talk about this mind meld thing that that Druig was supposed to lead to help destroy or stop the thing from being born.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert Stark foils it. But at the end of the day, Cersei finds her way to where she needs to be to stop to stop the birth, basically. And then they do the mind meld, and then she just freezes the thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so that's it then. You came up with the most elaborate f***ing plan in the world.
But you just do what you always do. You like touch something.
You touch something
then-
and it
Yeah.
materializes into something else.
I was like, you turned a beast into a tree. Like, that was more epic than the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, all that, like, Power Rangers, assemble, bracelets, activate, was very, like, wow, that was a not satisfying end at all. Not very, yeah, it was just, oh, okay, so just freeze it, I guess. No, that was easy.
And then that's it. And then and then Rob Stark pulls an Omni-Man, weeps at everything.
Flies into the sun.
And then like on the nose, Icarus flies into the sun, or too close to the sun, or wherever the. And I'm just like, God.
He straight up pulls an Omni-Man. Like, Omni-Man can't kill his son.
Can't kill his
so
son. And Icarus can't kill his baby girl.
Yeah.
So he like weeps as he flies into space. And I'm just like, this is like straight up from Invincible.
Yeah. It's just, and then the Harry Styles shows up.
Yeah.
At the end
and
there.
like no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. Oh, and then okay, one of my favorite visuals actually is at the very end, where you see Erisham through the clouds,
yes.
like he's some big planet. That was really sick. I like that visual a lot.
If anything, this movie proved to us that an Evangelion movie can be made.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Debatable whether it should actually exist, but the amount of ridiculous batshit lore in this movie, I'm like, oh, okay, it's possible to do an Evangelion movie for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, coming out of the movie, I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. And it made me think, this movie had potential. It really did. And it didn't have to fail. And I realized that, like, there's a lot that can be learned from anyone who wants to be a creator, wants to create stories or anything like this, of what not to do. Lessons to be learned from Eternal's mistakes.
What could creators learn from the mistakes of Eternals?
Well, the first one is have a strong, singular message. Otherwise, no one's going to care.
Focus.
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 This movie had so many different themes. Is it about how you hate God? Because
that's kind of like the whole Erisham
Yeah.
angle too.
Yeah.
Where it's just like the thing that created us is
Yeah, you have a crisis of faith. You're trying to believe, but God lied to you, and you hate him, and you're gonna kill him. And I understand Hollywood. You hate religion.
We
hate
get
gods.
it.
But like, if you wanted to make a I hate God movie, make a I hate God movie. Don't make a I hate God and also apex predators and also trans issues, also
Humanity
gay issues,
sucks.
also So like, is it about trans issues? Make a movie about trans issues. Is it about being gay? Make a movie about being gay. Is it about humanity is awful, because I think this movie is about humanity is awful.
At the end of the day, that's the strongest theme of them all.
Then make humanity is awful. We kill the planet with our atom bombs and climate change. Or is it about apex predators? Then make it about goddamn apex predators. But like, is it about dementia? But it's about so many things. And it didn't need to be. If you just picked one of those things, it would have been not 2 hours and 36 minutes long, and it would have been like a nice length, and we would have cared about these characters.
I think this could have actually served better as a TV show, because then you'd have an episode about Sprite and her issues. You have an episode about Angelina Jolie and her issues. Instead, it's just like you are ham-fisted from scene after scene after scene that don't feel interwoven.
Yeah. And that just feel like you just put that in there just to have your own little political...
deflate yourself.
Moment.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing, I don't mind that. I don't... Like, everyone has something they want to say. It's just... It feels not only disingenuous, just poorly done when you, like...
a little baity.
Yeah.
You know?
Just like you want, like, someone to applaud you or something. Like... And this leads me to my second point. I think people are now, creators and filmmakers are confusing having a personal voice with having a political opinion.
Explain.
I think it's fine to have a political opinion as your overall theme or thesis of your movie or whatever it is you want to make, a YouTube video, I don't know. I think that's fine. I don't care. But that's not the same as having a personal voice. It's very, very different. And I was having a hard time explaining this to you. But I would I would give examples of other directors. So Martin Scorsese, his personal voice is usually about God. About him growing up Catholic and his issues with God. Ingmar Bergman is typically about God and also like difficult relating with each other. Like person-to-person conflict. He's all about that kind of stuff. That's his own like weird hang-up that he likes.
And
Fincher loves depravity. He loves showing people in all their grotesque nature and all that stuff. And Hitchcock loves his thrills. And I just feel like every great director separates the two. They have like the thesis, the theme, the overall point of the movie, the story that they're trying to tell, and then they have their own like personal voice and way they tell it, and their own personal hang-ups that they it's not a Scorsese movie without
his hang-ups.
Yeah,
right, for sure.
And I think filmmakers and creators now, because politics has become something everyone should have an opinion about, which I think is a mistake. People are confusing the two, and I think this movie is a prime example of that, where like you just felt like you should throw in all these different opinions, and it doesn't feel like Chloe Zhao. Like I don't hear her personal voice. I don't see any of it other than like there's some. I feel like she is very inspired by Terrence Malick and stuff like that. And stylistically, that might be a stylistic thing, but I don't. What I actually see the most, all the scenes that are the most well done by her, are the intimate person-to-person scenes. When Druig is having a meltdown, when like people are having
Gilgamesh is basically saying goodbye to Athena. Yeah.
All like those are like the best moments of the movie, and I wish there was more. I wish the movie was more intimate. I wish it was more small in scope and not about these big societal issues that you have to like, for whatever reason, to win an Oscar or whatever, you have to comment on it because you feel obligated, or like you're just checking off a box. Like you have a list of things you need to have. I need to throw a trans person in there. I need to throw a gay person in there. I need to throw a lot of diverse just to have it, and it just feels very like not genuine. Like the opposite of the intention of like, oh, we want diversity in our movies. And I don't disagree with that sentiment. I think diversity is great, but when you're doing it just to check off a box on a list,
it feels superficial.
Yeah.
It feels like you don't care.
Yeah,
It feels like you don't actually have any skin in the game of these issues that like people actually really, really give a
about. And I think that does a disservice to the actual issue and
the actual issue itself. Yeah, I think so too.
And I think have humility.
Oh, that's a big one for this movie, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it seemed as though Disney did not have any of that. Like, they thought, like, just because the media was on their side for Black Widow and for Shang-Chi, they were like, oh, the media's going to have her back for this one.
I realized about this movie, it's like at the end of the day, this movie didn't have to fail. And if it were a good movie, I guarantee, like, opening box office wasn't going to be good because of obvious reasons.
Right, but it could have had legs.
But it could have had legs if the movie was good, because people would have talked about it. Instead, they talked about it, but in a bad way. So then, like, no one's going to see it. And
also, Ghostbusters is out this weekend. So I think Eternals is toast, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you've done before. It doesn't matter what kind of legacy you've had or what you think you're so great.
Deliver the goods. Am I right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, just focus on making a quality thing. Because as I was sitting there, bored out of my mind, I was watching the screen, cringing and going, an executive, a very smart executive, sat in a seat like I am sitting in and okayed this.
Yeah, Feige was like, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
this is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to show this to the public.
And I was irritated because I was like, I don't think they were thinking about quality at all. Because I believe, executives a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of times they're executives for a reason. I do think they know what's good.
Yeah.
At least the good ones. And the fact that
they're like us on steroids. They're like hyper observant of the audience members and all that stuff. They're
and what sells.
And all that stuff.
Because I can see the potential in this movie, they didn't do their due diligence and just cut the bloat. And cut off all these random stuff that has nothing to do with this movie and make it a more concise movie that has what a Marvel movie should have. It's the one thing I would say a movie should have: heart. maybe a Scorsese movie doesn't need heart. Maybe a whatever, an A24
Fincher movie doesn't need heart.
But like a Marvel movie devoid of heart. If I were an executive sitting there, I'd be like, there's a movie here. Let's do some work. Let's go back to the cutting room floor and spruce it up a little.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone just sat there and was like, yeah, sounds good to me. I was like, oh,
this is gonna make us boatloads of money.
And it was just like there was a lack of humility there, that you thought you could just put anything out and people would come no matter what.
Just because it says Disney, just because it says Marvel.
And then don't blame other people for not wanting the thing that you made. I think as a YouTuber, you go through this a lot, and I can understand the inclination, but don't attack. Actors, stop attacking your fans. Stop attacking Marvel fans for not liking your bad movie.
Who else is gonna watch your goddamn movie?
You got paid.
Yeah.
You got paid millions of dollars. Don't let your ego get to your head and think that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread and attack it for it obviously being a bad movie, and for them I think they implied that the fans are bigoted or something, and
they always seem to do that.
I'm besides all the honestly, the gay stuff, the trans stuff, it's a very small part of the movie. For you to imply that people hated your entire movie just because of those tiny little scenes is no, you just don't understand. It's a bad movie.
I think those scenes unfocused the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not the reason why people hate it.
Right.
That's different. And at the end of the day,
I think people hate it because they want to spend good money on a movie.
On a good movie.
And they would rather watch probably Ghostbusters or something instead.
Yeah. Something fun.
Yeah.
And at the very least, fun. Because that's what most people go to a Marvel movie for. Let's be honest. They don't go for an A24 thrill or a heady art house movie. They go for the theme park ride that it is, and it was not a fun theme park ride.
No.
And
The funniest part is we're trying to do this dopamine detox,
Yeah.
and watching the Eternals is the only cheat that we had because we promised you guys we would if you donated. And I didn't really feel much dopamine after. In fact, I felt tired.
Yeah.
Felt so goddamn tired. Yeah, and drained.
And the final point that you can take from this movie is I think people are over the spectacle. Because this and Dune should have done a lot better.
Both
than
the same
did.
runtime too.
Yeah.
Both
Big
like called
budgets.
themselves like, oh, there's gonna be a big spectacle movie, watching the biggest screen possible.
And I think for us, since I'm only going to make this prediction because we are the target audience for what the movie industry wants in order for them to be successful. Like if they get a bunch of us to go watch their movies, then their movie is going to be successful. What we want is more intimate, relatable stories. So like what Chloe Zhao did with those smaller intimate moments, I wanted more of that. So like I didn't care all that much for the new Dune movie. I don't like this movie, but I did love Lamb because that's all that movie is.
Small intimate moments.
Yeah.
Right.
And I felt more heart for a sheep than I did for anyone in this movie. And
Excuse me, half sheep, half girl.
no, I mean for the mother sheep.
If you've seen Lamb, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We gotta do maybe during Oscar bait season we'll talk about all of our favorite movies this year. But if you've seen Lamb, the mother sheep is like the most, like, I thought I'd never feel for a character like that. And I bet like it made you uncomfortable. It makes everyone a little bit uncomfortable, but it's almost, but then you feel so bad. You feel so bad to
it reminds me of why I watch movies. To have unexpected emotions like that, and to think about like, this movie did that to me. and
I kept telling you after we saw that movie, I can't believe that movie made me feel that way about just a random sheep.
Yeah, that literally, it's just a sheep. Literally just a sheep. And I think the reasoning for this new trend of like we know last decade was the decade of spectacle, of like Avatar, and like it like began with Avatar, ended with Eternals. And what a sad way to go. But I think the response to it, and the reason why people want more intimate, personal, smaller stories is because I think what we're lacking in our daily lives these days is our intimacy and being able to relate to each other. There's so much in the world right now where like it's hard to do that, but I think people are really want to be able to do that, even in a fantastical movie or something like that. So a lot to think about as a creator, and I took a lot from that I took these points from the movie, and like, I'm gonna try my best to not do what Eternals did, and even simple things like my YouTube videos.
Yeah, you too. When you make art, don't make the same mistakes as Disney made. And if you want to see this happen to me, again, donate $15 so I could get Netflix to watch the Cowboy Bebop stuff. Janet, what are we recommending for this episode?
Beato interviewed Sting.
It's pretty epic.
It's a pretty great interview.
It's a pretty great interview. Yeah. Sting, one of the greatest songwriters
One of the
ever.
Greatest of all time.
One of the goats.
Truly. I didn't understand it at the time because the only song I know from him is that the one song everyone knows from him.
There's a lot of songs that everyone knows from him. There's Message in a Bottle. There's Roxanne. There's like so many. Like
I don't want to
Every Breath You Take.
Yes,
okay.
that one. I only, because I live under a rock, that's the only song I really knew of him before. I think we watched a documentary or something where he I watched the Empire Under the Sun doc or whatever, the band documentary Disney doesn't want you to see.
Go see it.
I think it's on YouTube. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Empire Under something like that, where like Sting was supposed to make the music, and I was like,
he was really passionate about the project, and then he fucking hated it.
Yeah, I watched that, and then I had a whole new respect for Sting when you told me a lot of like how he's so talented. He's like he was a jazz musician, turned punk punk rocker turned
folk artist now,
yeah.
I think, basically.
So go listen to that interview. If you have nothing else to listen to, make sure to like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons, check out these other episodes over here, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.